Welcome back, Mr. Goodberry. The First Star Logistics studio is fully equipped and ready to record.
Welcome back to Bengals on the Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. I'm your host, Joe Goodberry. This is episode 99 since I started doing Bengals on the Brain with First Star, and it means we're going to hit 100 on Friday. And I wish it would have coincided with the top 100 list ending at the same time, but it is what it is. We're going to continue our countdown, irregardless of what number the episode is. I'm excited to get to 100. That's a lot of episodes, and I'm proud of the work, and I'm happy that all of you guys continue to tune in, even in the off season. I know how it is. You know, you don't always like to read, watch, and consume football because we're going to do it every day, pretty much for 6 straight months. Once it kicks off later this month when training camp hits. 99 though on the 100 greatest Bengals. You're messing this up, man. It's tough. It is a lot harder than it's. This is tough. This is hard work. The top 100 list on episode 99, and we've up to 53. Giovanni Bernard was the last one if you didn't see that. So we're 52 and up today. We're starting with a longtime offensive lineman. We're going old school for the first two. One offensive lineman started long time for the Bengals, and then another running back. We've had a ton of running backs, but this guy is another highlight reel. I think someone said on Essex Johnson's last episode, or was that 2 episodes ago? Someone commented, that looks like Gale Sayers out there. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then you're going to see this guy today, and it's like, man, these guys were nice and they were together. So Essex Johnson spanned this guy, and we did Boobie Clark when they were together. So you probably already know who I'm talking about. But first, number 52 on the top 100 Bengals of all time, Vernon Holland.
The offensive tackle positions were capably manned by 7-year veteran Vernon Holland, number 76.
Vernon Holland was a first-round pick in 1971, 15th overall out of Tennessee State. Holland played right tackle for Cincinnati from 1971 through the 1979 season, playing in 119 games for the Bengals and starting all but one of those. He played in every single Bengals game in 8 of his 9 seasons in Cincinnati. In 1975, he was named second team All-American Football Conference. This used to be an AFC, NFC, they would name teams, but he was second team in 1975. Listed at 6'5" and 268 pounds. That was big back then. Holland went on to play for the Detroit Lions and the New York Giants after the Cincinnati Bengals, and in total, playing 11 seasons, 131 games, and starting 123 in his NFL career.
As the Bengals began laying the groundwork for their best season ever. Built around the protection of tackles Vernon Holland, Rufus Mays, and Al Krevis, guards John Chinners and Dave Lapham, and center Bob Johnson, quarterback Ken Anderson was an aerial artist, rushing secondaries with stunning greatness. Set up Essex Johnson's scoring run, and the Bengals led 17-14.
In Cincinnati, Holland was part of 2 playoff teams, 1973 and 1975. Vernon Holland was known for his style and flair and fancy clothes, and he brought a little bit of swag to those 70s Bengals teams. Now it's time for one of the players that he blocked for there. Vernon Holland wearing 76. Rufus Mays, who we saw earlier, you may have seen in those clips, wearing 71 at tackle. That won't be the last time we see a 71 and a 76 bookend the Bengals on the offensive line. We'll wait for the other one to join this list much later. But we're going to go to someone he blocked for. One of the best running backs, one of the most explosive playmakers for the Bengals in their history, and one of the baby Bengals, one of the originals. So someone they relied on very early in their days, their AFL days in Cincinnati. It's running back Paul Robinson.
But the epitome of the Bengals' slashing speed and sinewy strength resided in Paul Robinson. Paul Robinson, AFL Rookie of the Year, AFL leading ground gainer, and the second rookie in the history of pro football to gain over 1,000 yards.
The third round pick, 82nd overall in the 1968 draft out of Arizona, Paul Robinson, the great uncle of Bijan Robinson, so some lineage there, made 2 Pro Bowls and 1 All-Pro, and you already heard the 1968 Rookie of the Year. 3 different publications gave him that award, as he gained 1,023 yards on the ground with 8 scores. He also caught 24 passes for 128 yards and a touchdown. Paul Robinson was there from the very beginning, scoring the Cincinnati Bengals' first franchise touchdown.
On the next play, Robinson turned left in and out-sprinted 2 Chargers to the end zone. With 5 minutes elapsed in the opening quarter, the surprising Bengals led 7-0.
The Bengals never gave up. Number 18, Paul Robinson, had his best day of the season as he skimmed over the tundra for 117 yards.
He closed out the first quarter with a 14-yard slant off left tackle. This set up plays and scored on a 4-yard sweep by Paul Robinson. The score was now 17-10. Whites threw a screen pass to Paul Robinson, who ended the day on a happy note with a 68-yard score.
Robinson brought instant speed to the early Bengals, averaging 4.5 yards per touch. The
Bengals had the ball at their own 40, and their first play, a quick trap up the middle, sprung Paul Robinson for 20 yards. Pittsburgh was keying on Jess Phillips, who was having a fine season, but the Bengals crossed them up by continually going to Robinson with great success. Robinson took a pitch out and swept right again, and once more it was a key block by Matson that sprung him. When he was finally brought down,
He would go on in total to play 5 years in Cincinnati between 1968 and 1972. Partially, he did spend some time in 70.
the block of number 71, guard Rufus Mays, Robinson swept left 15 yards to a touchdown. Robinson and Carter had regained momentum for Cincinnati when it was needed most. On a well-executed drive, utilizing both his air and ground games with equal efficiency, Paul Brown had his Bengals back in a 13-point lead.
But playing in 60 games and starting 50, the standards are a little bit different for running back. Remember, 617 total carries, 2,441 yards, and 19 touchdowns.
Paul Robinson put on an exhibition of running that dazzled the Dolphin defensive men. Displaying his qualifications for Rookie of the Year, Robbie piled up 134 yards and 3 touchdowns of 5, 15, and 54 yards.
Paul Robinson, a great number 18 for the Bengals, which we'll see another one obviously later. But such a great 1968 season, winning Rookie of the Year, rushing for 1,000 yards, leading in rushing and rushing touchdowns, leading the AFL, going to 2 Pro Bowls back-to-back, 68, 69. But also in 68, he came in second place in the MVP voting behind Joe Namath. We don't have a lot of players that we can say that about. So yeah, one great year when we've knocked that, right? We've used that to say why Delta O'Neal isn't higher and some of these other guys, why they aren't higher. But none of them came in second place in MVP voting. So Paul Robinson for his one tremendous year, another good year, and then, kind of was part of a committee approach after that in his 5 years in Cincinnati, and then, moved on. But moving on our list is somebody that's very interesting for a few reasons. Number one, when I said I wanted him to play 2 years in Cincinnati, that eliminated the Terrell Owens and the James Harrison guys that played 1 year. Great players, clearly, but not great Bengals, right? You got to play more than 1 year. This guy, though, is why I cut it at 2 years, because I felt he needed to be recognized on this list, because one of his years was still a record-setting year for the Bengals, historic season in NFL history. And I think if he would have played his entire career for Cincinnati, he'd be in the Ring of Honor. We're going to have two guys in today's episode, where I think if they would have stayed in Cincinnati and played out their career in Cincinnati, they'd be Ring of Honor and potentially knocking on the door of the Hall of Fame. Coming in at number 50, starting our top 50 now, is defensive end, Coy Bacon.
Vital would be their ability to obtain a big, crafty rushman, molded from the fires of previous NFL battles. San Diego had just such a veteran in Coy Bacon, who, after trading his Charger blue hat for one of Bengal orange, came face-to-face with all the doubts and speculations that haunt and follow a 34-year-old defensive end. But if there were any questions about the aged talents of number 79, they were quickly answered. Coy Bacon was reborn in 1976 on a team that warmed from his competitive fires, which joyfully blazed again. Number 79 arrived through rain, sleet, and snow to deliver the word personally. Coy Bacon was back. The pass rush expert claimed 26 sacks by himself, and the Bengals more than doubled their pass rush total from the year before.
Coy Bacon would play for 7 different professional football teams, making 3 second-team All-Pros, 3 Pro Bowls, and was the 1976 sack leader for the Cincinnati Bengals. It wasn't an official stat in 76, but historians have gone back and recorded it as 21.5 sacks for Coy Bacon. He would follow it up the next year with just 5.5, making his total in 2 years 27 sacks. In his 14-year NFL career, Bacon would play in 180 games, starting 164. The crazy part is his sacks, unofficial, but 130.5 over that span. That ranks 22nd in NFL history. He's a member of the Bengals' 50th anniversary team, but if you'd have played for one team in his career, there's no doubt he'd be in the Hall of Fame. Coy Bacon, one of the single best players to ever play for the Cincinnati Bengals, but in terms of greatness, because it was only 2 years, he's going to fall back just a little bit on our list. The Bengals traded for him from San Diego and then eventually traded him away to Washington. But we're going to continue this list with more players that were either acquired in trade or traded away. The next one of the best trades the Bengals have ever made. Trading for this future Pro Bowler. It's like a Jeopardy type question. Trading for this future Pro Bowler, giving up depth corner David Jones to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 49 on this list of the 100 greatest Bengals is safety Reggie Nelson.
Be great, baby. Let's do it.
The former first-round pick out of Florida by the Jacksonville Jaguars, Reggie Nelson would be traded to Cincinnati just before the 2010 season.
And it is intercepted by Reggie Nelson. Tipped up in the air and picked off on the ricochet by Reggie Nelson.
Just has a knack for reading the quarterback's eyes and timing the ball and getting it at its highest point.
He led the league for safeties and picks.
His 5th consecutive game with an interception and his NFL-leading 8th INT.
He's a ball hawking safety. When the ball is in the air, you're going to see Reggie Nelson by the ball.
Afterwards, he would become a key member and a key starter on 5 straight playoff teams.
the former Bengal has feasted on Big Ben and the Steelers throughout his career.
Roethlisberger in trouble and sacked by Reggie Nelson.
The former Bengal captain had the clutch gene, especially when playing the Steelers.
And it is intercepted by Reggie Nelson, his second of the game.
Reggie Nelson is lurking safety. He read Ben's eyes. He has become the biggest thorn in Roethlisberger's side in the league. I see you, Reg!
He came all the way from the other hash.
Go get it, Reg. Go get it, Reg. Go get it, Reg.
It was probably 40 or 50 yards down the field, jumped up and intercepted the ball.
Picked off by NFL leader Reggie Nelson.
That's his 6th interception of Ben Roethlisberger. How about Reggie Nelson? Man, he is Ben Roethlisberger's nightmare. When he closes his eyes, he's going to see 2-0.
The eventual 2-time Pro Bowler, one with the Bengals, one with the Raiders after he left. His best season was in 2015 for that great Bengals team, where he started and played in all 16 games, recording 8 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, 14 passes defensed, and 77 tackles.
Great interception by Nelson. He did secure it. Intercepted. Jackson was leveled as he released the football. And up the sideline goes Reggie Nelson, and he's going to score.
Anything but the big play. Oh, they're blitzing. Boy, did he get there, Reggie Nelson, right now.
Yates in trouble and sacked. Reggie Nelson on a safety blitz.
Into the nickel, 3rd and 7. The blitz from Nelson again, and again he knocks him down. Reggie Nelson.
Oh, good protection.
Ryan held and sacked by Nelson. It's another Cincinnati sack.
Cam Newton fires high and intercepted.
He missed 10 games last year with a pair of injuries. Very clean pocket, deep downfield, and that's picked off again by Reggie Nelson, the 2nd interception.
In all, Reggie Nelson would spend 6 years in Cincinnati, playing in 93 games, starting 83, recording 23 interceptions, scoring on 1 touchdown, 5 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, 462 tackles, and 5.5 sacks. Reggie Nelson, a great player, and really revived his career and got his career back on track, and ultimately hitting the high-end hopes people had for him coming out of Florida as a, they thought he'd be a deep free safety, could do it all, and he could do a lot of that, but he ended up being a very good strong safety as well, blitzer, tackler, just overall playmaker all around the field. So big part of that Bengals defense, where we're going to see a lot of those players make it going back to the 80s now. And a player that probably gets overlooked, and honestly, I didn't know who he was too much until I started doing this list and doing my research and noticing him out there. At first, it was, who's that big 77 out there blocking? Got 2 offensive linemen today, huh? And he was at left tackle first, and in the 70s, and then at right tackle. When they got Anthony Munoz, this guy moved from left tackle to right tackle. That tells you how good Munoz was. We know this, but this guy continued to start and just flipped over to the other side and probably was even better at right tackle. It's number 77. But number 48 on this list, Mike Wilson.
Here's Cincinnati's offensive line for you. At left tackle, number 77, Mike Wilson. At left guard, number 74, Glenn Bujnock. At center is Blair Bush. The right guard, Dave Lapham. The right tackle, the 9-year veteran, number 76, Vernon Holland.
Big number 77 there lining up at right tackle. The former 4th-round pick out of Georgia in the 1977 draft. Hey, like Clint Bowling, Mike Wilson would play for the Bengals from 1978 through 1985, spanning from the Ken Anderson era to the beginning of the Boomer Esiason era.
Guy jump off sides or not?
I was thinking of going lead off.
Right.
He was flexed off the ball. So
oh, okay. All right.
When it came
okay.
to his
all right.
And Steve Kreider made the difference. The 17-10 win clinched Cincinnati's first division crown since 1973. They had more first downs, more total yards, and scored more touchdowns than the 49ers.
In his 8 years in Cincinnati, Wilson would play in 114 games, but start 112 of those, including 4 playoff games between 81 and 82. He would leave and play 4 years in Seattle, where he played and started in another 60 games.
Excellent pass protection. Unless the Cowboys are able to get in there and get their blitz scheme going, his size will have this kind of protection all day long. There's the throw right over Walls and beats him by a step. And the really good job is done downfield by the wide receiver, giving Brown a good block.
The Bengals basically an air attack. Kennebrew picks up the first down. 5 yards to the 19.
Listed at 6'5" and 275 pounds, Wilson would actually play for the Toronto Argonauts of the CFL in 1977.
With a surprising 19-point lead at the half, the Bengals began the third quarter with the ball. A 29-yard touchdown pass to number 86 Steve Kreider came.
In total, he would play 174 NFL games. His nickname was Moon Pie. In each of his 7 seasons as a starter after his rookie year in 78, Mike Wilson did not miss a game.
On the Charger 49, it's Johnson. Flag down as the Penn State has taken over second and 15 at his 45, and he gives to Pete Johnson, who cracks his way
from the ground. Marion Motley, where are you? Hey, look at him. He's looking for somebody to run over right here. Where are you? Where are you? Give me somebody. he is a big...
The noise soon subsided as Bengal rookie Boomer Esiason began to move his team on their best offensive drive since early in the game.
Mike Wilson, maybe the forgotten man on those early 80s offensive lines, played for a long time. And shout out to Steve Kreider making a lot of catches in those highlights there. That's a name that you don't remember until you watch it and you go, oh yeah, he made a bunch of plays as a backup receiver. That's right. He won't make the top 100, but still. We already had one reclamation, maybe 2 reclamation projects. Goy Bacon was a bit of a different one, being 34, coming to the Bengals for 2 years after a trade. And then we had Reggie Nelson. Now we're going to have 2 back-to-back agains. And this one wasn't always good. And it's kind of the moves the Bengals needed to make at the time and always did make. They took risks, and they all didn't work out. And this was one of the riskiest additions in NFL history. I mean, he spent 2 years out of the league. Before coming to the Bengals in 2010, same year as Reggie Nelson. So maybe, part of it was them being together as well. The Bengals ended up finding a player that whenever you were getting frustrated again with him, he seemed to make a play. And he made a lot of them. Coming in at number 47 is Adam Pac-Man Jones.
Brady. Sideline. Tip. Intercepted inside the 5.
Did that ball touch the ground?
Yes.
They're saying no, it's an interception.
Adam Jones.
The ball got popped up into the air.
Cincinnati. There's the 10, picked off Adam Jones, and see. Well, let's see what Geno Smith can do. Not much. His second pick 6 thrown today. The Jets quarterback
supposed to be when the ball arrives. Cook, the Pro Bowl alternate back in 2010. Adam Jones.
The former first-round pick of the Tennessee Titans, Adam Jones, found himself in and out of the league before the Bengals took their chance on him.
And finally brought down inside the 30, a 44-yard return.
And it was one that paid off. He ended up playing 8 years in Cincinnati, playing in over 100 games, including 5 playoff seasons and 5 playoff games, 105 in total, starting 68. Jones would record 352 tackles, 2 sacks, recover 6 fumbles, force another 5, add 64 passes defense, 2 touchdowns on defense, 12 interceptions, and would make the All-Pro teams in 2014 and a Pro Bowl in 2015.
Adam Jones! All the way inside the 5 of Carolina.
3rd and 1. And Flacco's going to throw. Intercepted again at the 30-yard line. Picked off by Adam Jones.
What?
A lot of time. Stepping up, in trouble, gets away, slings it end zone in traffic. Intercepted by Jones. Ill-advised throw, and Adam Jones picks it off.
Those touchbacks, usually because of the altitude. It's tougher on the road. And here Adam Jones going to take it from 8 deep. Jones picking up blocks. And Adam Jones gets past Bolden. And look at Adam Jones take it to the 30 and to the 26-yard line. Take that, Omar Bolden.
He might be the first returner in a long time to lead the NFL in punt return yardage and kickoff return yardage from 8 yards deep. Adam Jones hits the gas pedal. Over 30 yards of return. Quite a weapon for the Cincinnati Bengals.
So he thinks he knows Adam Jones is coming. It's why he said he was the Mike. He drops back in coverage and picks him off at the 23-yard line.
Adam Jones having quite a night as a returner and a coverage man.
But it was Jones' playmaking as a return man that sparked this team just as much as was the plays on the defensive side as well. I mean, that's why he made the Pro Bowl the year he did. Jones would return 98 punts for the Bengals. There was like 78 in a row where he failed to even throw up a hand for a fair catch. He refused to fair catch the ball. They would rotate him with Brandon Tate. Just like, all right, we need a play. Get Pac-Man out there. Let him return one. But he averaged 11.3 yards per punt return and had a touchdown. And he added in 51 kick returns for 1,344 yards in Cincinnati, with his longest being 97.
Crosses the 40, 13 yards on the return, and big play.
Tomlin didn't waste any time. On a 4th and 5, Roethlisberger, low throw, and handled by Adam Jones.
Sacks, 6 most in the league. They blitz up the middle with Perfect. Roethlisberger throws an interception, sidestepped the rush, but then it was picked off by Adam Jones.
First quarter, no score, 4th and 13. Adam Jones on the punt return makes 7 players miss, including Inky, Binky, Blinky, and Clyde. There he goes, into the end zone.
Adam Pac-Man Jones, maybe known more for his off-the-field things around the league. For us, he was a great Bengal. So for all of his faults, however you want to slice it, Pac-Man made a lot of plays for some very good teams that ultimately went to the playoffs and had a stretch. That 5-year stretch for the Bengals from 2011 to 2015 is not something they've been able to replicate. Even this Joe Burrow era, 2 years in the playoffs, and then 1 year just missing it last year. It is not easy to go 5 straight years, and Pac-Man was a big part of that. So moving on to another reclamation project, and that one maybe not unfair. Let's say another guy who didn't have the same success with his original team, being the Philadelphia Eagles. The Bengals signed him in 2004. Very underrated signing. I don't think anyone expected anything from this guy. Instead, what you ended up getting was one of the best linemen that have ever played for you, one of the most underrated players that have ever played for you, and just an absolute beast next to a future Hall of Famer. Coming in at number 46, Bobby Williams.
They're making it look too easy. The different plays, the different looks, the good blocking by this Bengals offensive line. Not only can they pass protect, but they can come off and be powerful too. And they are pushing the Colts all over the field.
The 61st overall pick, second round in 2000 draft, Bobby Williams out of Arkansas, signed with the Bengals in 2004 and would stay in Cincinnati from the Carson Palmer era and usher in the Andy Dalton era in 2011. Bobby Williams would play and start in 118 games in those 8 years, including being a part of 3 playoff teams, 05, 09, and 2011. Paired next to Willie Anderson on the right side, gave the Bengals, especially that 2000s team, the 2005, playoff team, power, massive power. I mean, these guys were 700 pounds combined. Bobby Williams alone, though, heavy, hard hitting hands. I mean, this man had mitts, paws. When he landed his punches, when he landed his hands on defenders, they folded on contact. And then he'd get behind them and grind them out and be a leader at the point of attack. You could run behind him.
Gives the play. Jeremy Johnson, the fullback, who hands it off to his tailback. Throw is complete, and Chad Johnson has his first reception of the game and a first down out at the 40-yard line.
Again, it starts with great pass protection. The Steelers not able to get any pressure on Palmer at all, and he delivers the ball. And all the talk about this spectacular passing game of Cincinnati, what they can do that makes them a complete offense is pound the football between the tackles with Rudy Johnson. Look at that beautiful opening by Steinbach and Bram and Williams and Anderson. And again, take a look at the blitz, but the pickup is the key. Pittsburgh comes with the double blitz up the middle, Palomalu, but they are handled by this Cincinnati front wall, giving Palmer plenty of time. And
Bobby Williams would eventually be a captain on this offensive line as they transition from the Palmer era to the Delton.
Going to the corner, touchdown. A workhorse on that drive in the backfield now, and they're giving it to him. Vincent with the running room. Vincent gets up midfield and chopped down at the Buffalo 49-yard line after picking up 16 yards. Reggie Corner and Bird come up with the tackle.
He played with multiple linemen that are going to be on this list. Not only have we seen Levi Jones already, we've seen Clint Bowling, we are going to see Richie Bram, Willie Anderson, Andrew Whitworth. We've seen Andre Smith on this list. He was there to really transition, but not just I like to call it the quarterback eras, but transition between those two great offensive line eras too, between the 05 teams.
That line only surrendered 21 sacks, best ever by the Bengals squad. Behind Bobby Williams.
3rd and 1 on the way. And I think they feel good about their matchup at the offensive line. They are so big and have a huge size advantage.
And ultimately the 2015 teams, Bobby Williams was between both and served as a captain.
As the Buffalo Bills give up the enormous 3rd and long. Look at the blocking right at the point of attack. All the Bengals find a Bill, put their head on him and start pushing, and Cedric Benson finds the open area.
And they are just going to move the slanting defensive tackle right out of the picture.
We'll show you. Watch how he looks to the right. He got 2 or 3 options in front of him. Rudy Johnson's actually his 4th option on that play. To have the patience and the confidence to get back to that 4th guy.
Bobby Williams would go on to play for the Baltimore Ravens for 1 season before retiring. And in that 1 season, he was a part of the team that won the Super Bowl. So he got his ring, and great hats off to him. It had to be the Ravens, whatever. We're not going to, spend too much time on it. This is a Bengals show, but good for Bobby Williams. And I started this segment talking about Willie Anderson and Bobby on the right side because the way that 05 team was constructed with Rudy Johnson pounding the rock, and the way the offensive line, such a great offensive line, but I considered the left side to be the athletic side. Levi Jones, Eric Steinbach, when they pitch it that way, they'd kick out Levi Jones. When they'd pull Eric Steinbach to the right, those were athletic guys. Richie Bram got to the second level, and we'll get to him. He'll get his flowers. But Bobby Williams and Willie Anderson, they're like brothers. It looked like they played together forever. And this was the second year 05 was of them. And you could just focus in on that right side and watch these two and just enjoy the game, because it was just those guys scratching, clawing, and fighting together and working in unison. It was really a sight to behold, especially as I go back and watch these old games. Another one, there's lineage to Willie Anderson, another Auburn Tiger, and someone that I think is probably real good friends with Big Willie still, is somebody that I think if he, and this isn't Rudy Johnson, I think if he would have played his entire career in Cincinnati, he'd be top 15, top 20 on this list. He'd be eventually on the Ring of Honor in Cincinnati. But because he left, and he left before it got good, and things turned around, he's probably not known as much as being a Bengal, even though he played for Cincinnati more than anybody. I just think his career could have been remembered much differently. One of the best players to ever play and put on those Tiger stripes. At number 45 is linebacker Teo Spikes.
With the 13th pick in the first round, the Cincinnati Bengals select linebacker from Auburn, Teo Spikes.
Second down, they need 9. Dyson with 7 catches for 130 yards, and there's a sack of McNair. Busting through to get it was Teo Spikes.
And he might have taken the ball away.
Teo Spikes stripped McNair of the football, and they're giving it back to the Bengals. What a play by the young linebacker.
Teo's, whose name means great warrior in Japanese.
Foundation is number 51, linebacker Teo Spikes. In 2000, Spikes led the team with a career-high 128 tackles. His 109 solo tackles broke the Bengals' record of 104, set by Reggie Williams in 1977. In only his 3rd season, Spikes has developed into a complete linebacker, as he also led the team in takeaways.
Teo Spikes, playmaker, makes another one.
As defensive captain, Spikes set a standard that teammates tried to emulate.
Another former first-round pick to this list, 13th overall in 1998 out of Auburn. Remember, the Bengals took Brian Simmons and Teo Spikes in the same draft. We've already done Brian Simmons. Teo Spikes would play 5 years in Cincinnati between 1998 through 2002. So again, those are some dark years, not a lot of winning, not a lot going on to shine the light on him. But because he was such a character, because he played with no neck and no regrets, I mean, this guy was an easy magnet and someone that could have been a superstar. I think if he would have stuck around during the Palmer era and the Marvin Lewis era, because the light got shown on the Bengals, on Cincinnati at that time, and he was just entering the prime of his career, I think it would have gone differently for him. So in those 5 years, which is the most, he played afterwards for Buffalo, San Fran, San Diego, and Philadelphia, all up into and through 2012. But for the Bengals, 5 years was the most for any team. 79 games played, 79 starts. Teo Spikes would rack up 451 tackles, 14.5 sacks, 12 fumble recoveries, 5 forced fumbles, 16 passes defensed, 5 interceptions, and record 2 touchdowns.
Inside the 30, Gerback, no, but this time it's Teo Spikes providing a take KO. Rolling, smelling the end zone, 66 yards, and the 21-10 lead.
2nd and 7 for Pittsburgh. Cordell in trouble right away. Teo Spikes was almost as though he had read the play.
Fast, aggressive, strong, natural instincts. The guy played the position like he was on fire and he wanted to inflict pain on his opponent. And I'm just not sure the Bengals were ready to do all that in the time he played for them, which ultimately led to him leaving in free agency.
It's a fumble. Shade is there again. Teo Spikes caused the fumble. Now the Pat Gamble, they're up by 7, 4th and 3 on the 33 with 2 minutes to go. And what a play by the rookie Spikes. Well,
I mean, this is like sort of a breakout game for you.
Yeah, it was. I think personally, I think I had a pretty good game. You know, it leaves a good taste in your mouth, but right now I kind of feel like Sammy Sosa, you know, during the home run race. You know, regardless of how many homers you hit, how many tackles I get or sacks, you know, until we win, you know, that's when I'll be completely satisfied.
And ultimately, Spikes left and had a long and productive career, showing his worth to the rest of the league and to many teams as they got to see what we saw for 5 years in Cincinnati. This whole list, though, today's episode, a lot of guys that got second chances and made a lot out of them. And then some guys I wonder, like Spikes and Coy Bacon, really, because I think if Bacon would have played for maybe just one or two teams in his career, he'd be in the Hall of Fame. Teo Spikes, had he have hung out for one more contract, even 4 more years in Cincinnati, he'd be in the Ring of Honor eventually, right? In the next few years, next 5 years, however they do the process, however that goes when the newer guys start to come of age. But yeah, I do want, I think we're in the top 50 now. And a lot of these guys are going to be some of your favorite players. We're already getting those comments starting to come up more frequently. Like, oh, that was my guy when I was a kid. And now we're going to start hitting these guys more and more often. I mean, to me, Teo Spikes was the man. I got a Spikes jersey for other teams, not just Bengals. So for me, one of the best players that ever wore those stripes, and honestly wore them in a way that maybe some of these other players on the list did not always wear them to the best of representation, but Spikes always did in Cincinnati. He just wanted to win. This has been episode 99 of Bengals on the Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. Our top 100 countdown continues this Friday. On the next episode, I'm Joe Goodberry. Until then, Uday.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.